Hello everyone. So today I'm going to explain how we are going to use this JPA cascading. As you know, this cascading I will explain what is this cascading type and where we are going to use this one. So basically, if we talked about this cascading types, so let's about discuss what is cascading. So entity, like as we know, for Hibernate JPA, instead of like directly talking with the databases, we have created those connections and all those things through the Hibernate and the JPA, right? So while we're doing so, then we need to create some entities which basically similar of the database entity. So like for example, if we talked about the ones of the employee table and the address table, because like for each employee is having some addresses. So now if we talked about the employee table, so for that we need to create the database one table for this employee and another one is the address. For example, the employee having some fields like ID, name, and like address and city, state, city, and all those things fields having. So if we want to use the Hibernate JPA, then we need to create the like similar entity one class which is represent the database tables. So for that basically we need to mapping those things. Now, so that's why I'm saying like the entity relationship often basically depends on the existence of another entity. If we talked about this relationship between this employee and the address, so without like employee, the address entity doesn't have any meaning of its own, right? When we delete the employee entity, our address entity should also be get deleted because address should be based on some employees. If employees we are deleting, then address it is meaningless, right? Also we are having the mapping between these two tables like employee and the address. There is some relationship between this one. So that's why cascading is the way to achieve this. Like when we perform some actions on the target entity, the same actions will also be applied to the associated entity. Like the concept is to like the parent and child relationship. Here basically employee is a parent and the child is to address entity. So now suppose if we are saving some data in employee table, so in the same time it will automatically save the data into the child table like the address table. So automatically means like how we are going to save the data. So for that basically we are going to create one repository, and repository dot save if we do with some employees like repository dot save, and in the constructor we need to pass the employee object, then it will automatically save the employee object. So whenever you are going to save this particular data, then it will automatically update the data into the address tables also. So this is the benefit of this cascading. Not only save, so JP actually provide there are multiple cascading types. So there is actually one cascading enum. I will show you the cascading enum. So it's consists of like all the cascading type. All it will support all the things: persist, merge, then remove, refresh, and detach. So and also with that also Hibernate support like different types of cascading type with this additional supports like replicate, save underscore update, and the lock. Okay, and now if we talked about this cascading type, all it's actually support all the propagations, all the operations like including the Hibernate specific ones also from parent to child entity. And I will show you the example like here. For that I have created one project here, like as you can see over a JPA cascading. So here basically I'm going to create one controller which is basically responsible to uh, like we need to create some endpoints over there, APIs like save and update and the delete. So if we want to save data into the parent table, it will automatically save data into the child table also. Same for update and same for delete. So those operations I'm going to explain over here. So for that basically we need to use this as you can see over here, the Maven dependency I have used 3.1.2, and for like Java version, so next slide I can see over here the Java 17, and for data JPA we have used this data JPA mapping pump dependencies over here, and this starter web just to support those like creating the controller and other things, dev tools just to reload every times. And as a database I'm going to use the in-memory database so that it will take not much time. Okay, So these are the like dependency wise. Now actually for demonstrating this cascading time, I need to cascading types basically. I need to create some uh, like entities over here, and also with that also controller. So let's create those entity. Okay. So like here basically we need to create one package for that, dot entity. Okay. So here basically we are going to create like employee, first of all the employee entity, and also with that also need to create some another entity which is basically the address. So first of all create this entity, and it's having a uh, the entity annotation just to mapping with the @entity. Okay, and with that also you need to use some getter setter just to getter and setter, avoid the boilerplate code. And here basically it's having a, we are putting some 2 3 variables like id, then like generated value id, and then name. So here basically let me add those things. So as you can see over here, this id it's auto generated, so that's why we have used this one generated value strategy. It's a generation type is the auto. Okay, and this is the id because it's a primary key of this particular table. And then name, with that we need to add another fields which is basically means it will fetch all the address related details. And here, okay, so also you need to create this address. Okay, as you can see over here we need to map by this employee and cascade. Okay, so this is the like representing the cascading type. Okay, so if we click this one, it is a basically one enum. So as you can see it support this all, persist, merge, remove, refresh, and detach. Okay, all means it will support all the operations, include all those below. Persist, it will only like supporting this persist operation, like once we'll save the data and then it will automatically save into the child table. Merge means it will support this merge operation, like it will update the data. It will remove like delete operations. If we try to remove from parent entity, it will automatically remove data from the child entity also. And the next one is the refresh. So it will basically refresh means suppose there is one entity. Now we are taking data from the cache, so instead of caching it will actually refresh and it will load data from the database. So that is kind of the refresh annotations for enum for this cascading type. And another is a detach. Okay, it will detach the entity from the session. So these are the things, and now we are going to create another actually entity like address. Okay, so create new class like address. Okay, and it's having a like getter, setter, and the entity. So those are the like very common thing. And then it's having a same fields. Let me like mapping those things. Okay, the id, street, city, zip code, and this employee, this is a many to one mapping. I'll create one tutorial regarding this mapping scenarios for those things, but for the timing we need to provide this one. In the employee basically we need to provide as a one to many. Okay, as you can see also for the address, this is the id representing this id, and this is a like face type is lazy. uh, there are the two types of the face type basically. One is the lazy, another one is the eager. Lazy means if it is required then only in the same time it will fetch the data from the database, else it will not, so it will perform better. If we put face type is eager, then it will on the load time it will fetch the data instead of if it is required or not, regardless of those things it will load the data. So this is the things, and here basically we need to use this address. Okay, so this is the main thing actually, cascading, for supporting the cascading. So this is done now. Now we need to create another repository which is basically like support save those things. So here basically I've created this one employee repository, and here we need to pass this employee, and this is a long, okay, id, long id. Here also we can provide the long id. Okay, so this is done, means repository wise. Now we are going to create one service class. Basically this is responsible to like save, update and delete those data. So let's create another package like here dot service, and let's create another class which is basically responsible to, for example, JPA services service. Okay, and it will be a service class like @service. Okay, now basically we need to use this one for logging. We are going to use this Apache logging. Or self4j login also you can use. So use this one, self slf4j. Okay, okay. So now basically if we try to save the data, so for that we're going to create one method, okay, like save, and then here basically I'm not passing any, for example, like for saving the data just we'll create one dummy user. So that's why we are going to create this dummy user over here, employee equal to new employee. Okay, so now we are going to set the data like emp.set name. It's a kind of, we can say it's a emp.set name is demo user. Next we are going to create another like address object like this, and then we are going to set this one inside of this employee. Okay, and then employee dot set address arrays dot as list address. Okay, so it will save the data. Now what we will do, we will like repository here, we will save the data over here dot save, and here basically we need to pass the employee. So as you can see over here, we are only saving the data into for the employee, not for the address, right? But employee is mapped this address field, and here we have set data. So what we are expecting, like if we are saving the data for this employee table, then it will automatically save the data for this address. How it will work? It will work like this cascading type, because we have provided this cascading type. Means if we are saving this for entity, then it will automatically save the data for this entity also. It will be a public instead of private. So after the saving data over here, we can put some log over here like employee, and we can put some log over here. Okay, like employee and address data saved successfully, and we can also provide something over here, save successfully with emp.getID. Means once we save the data, then it will generate one ID, and this particular ID it will means we can get over here. So what we have done over here, now we're going to create one controller, new package dot controller. Okay, And here basically we are going to create one controller, like new class JPA controller. So now here basically we are going to create another class controller, JPA Cascading controller, and obviously it will be a like request controller, and we need to provide some kind of mapping over here. So these are the like these few things that we need to follow: request controller and the mapping. So here basically we need to used one mapping for this one, for the save the data, right? So as you can see, we have used this JPA service, and we have created one method which is basically responsible to save the data. Now we just need to call this save service from over here, and this is basically saving the data into the database. Okay. Now if we check over here, so we are just returning data saved successfully, and this save service basically set the data for this employee, and then set the data for the address, and then it will save the data for the address. Okay. So what we have do so far, like we have created two entities, one is employee and another is the address, and then we have tried to map those things and use this cascading type. Means only we are going to save data for the repository, employee repository, and then it will automatically save data for the child table like address. Okay. Now as we are going to use this H2 database, so for that we need to use some properties. So this one, and this is the database name URL. And here basically we have used another two like properties, like Hibernate format SQL. It will actually print the logs. So this property is basically used to display the SQL or print the SQL into the console, so that we can understand like what SQL actually basically used. And it will basically, if it is a long kind of SQL, then it will format the SQL. So these two properties I have used. Now let's start this program and try to like replicate these things. Okay. Meantime, I will check, and but also we can create some other services like for the saved, and this is for the saved. Similar fashion we can also write for the update basically. So how we are going to write this one for the update? So for update, it will take one input from the request from the API. Then it will, first of all, it will like find the data from the database and set the data. Okay. Let's see, like repository, whatever the ID we will get from over here, we are just trying to find by ID, then it will return as the employee, then we are set the name from the request, and then we are also get the address, and then we are setting this over here. Then finally we are going to save those things over here, like here. Okay, we are going to save this employee, and finally we will put some logs like employee and address details updated successfully. Okay. Next is for the delete. Okay. So for delete basically, it is also similar. First of all, we need to find by ID. Then once we'll get this one, then using the repository we'll use perform the delete operations. Okay. Now in the like so is this clear? Hope I hope those things are clear, but still if you guys have any doubt, please do let me know in the comment sections. I will also like provide the link for the I'll put this source code into the GitHub source code, and also I'll provide the link into the description section so that you guys can check those code from the GitHub source. You guys can easily go to the, but still if you guys have any doubt or any concerns, please do let me know in the comment sections. I will try to definitely clear those things. If required, I will put more over details on those things. So these are the kind of things that basically save, delete and update I'm trying to cover over here with the cascading type, different types of cascading type. It is supporting, as I am shown earlier, it is supporting different types of cascading. And yes, like over here, just to summarize, these are the cascading type that's supported over here. Now like in the controller, basically we are going to create another two endpoint, which is basically like save. Now we are going to create for the update basically. So in the update basically we need to take as a request response request body, and then we are going to call this update service from over here in case of the if it is update. And you can see I'm just taking only the employee as the input, and the address I'm updating from the hard coded data from here. That data also you can pass from the postman also, or whatever the means endpoint things is coming, endpoint thing from where integrating these things. Okay, so for the update also done. Next, basically, we are going to create another API which is basically responsible to delete the data from the database. So this is the like API for this one. Like it's taking only the ID, and then we are going to call this delete one. The purpose is for this one, this tutorial, like the cascading means if we are going to save data into the parent table, then it will automatically save data into the child table also. If we are going to update data for the parent table, it will also update into the perform the update operation into the child operations also, child table also. If we are going to perform the delete operations from the parent, then it will also delete from the child. Like it will, I'll show you like how it is working. Okay, so these are the things. Let me start this one. Okay, once it will start, then it will start it, not take much time. It started in this 880 port, and you can see this is the database is already created. You can see these are the like SQL create table, create address table. So those are done automatically. I've not done because these are the like bit of this in memory databases. Okay, now if we see the h2 databases, so this is the h2 console. So for that we need to use this something like this URL. We need to hit into the browser, and here basically we need to provide the JDBC URL that already like provide in the here in the properties file. You can see in the properties file we have used this JDBC URL, right? So this is the URL. This is the basically URL, and here we need to connect, then it will automatically connect. So you can see over here. So now if we see this one employee, so it doesn't have any data. Now if we see the address table, it's also doesn't have any data. Now from the postman, basically we are going to save data first, right? So how we are going to save the data? Like here basically we are going to call this one, as you can see the 880 port, then API, then save. So we are going to call this one save. If we see this controller here, API and then save, we are going to call. So it is successful, data saved successfully. Now if you check the console, basically you can see it's first of all it's insert data into this employee table, and then also it will save the data into the address table. But if we see the repository, means in this save service, we are only save the data for this employee table. So how we are not use the saved operations for this address? That means as we are using the cascading type, so that's why it's automatically like save the data for the child table also. Understood, right? So this is the beauty of this cascading type. So now if we check the data here, you can see like the address data over here, and also like if we check the employee data, then also employee is also over here. Okay, now okay, so this is the thing, and now we are going to perform the address is this. Now we are going to perform the update. So for update, basically currently as you can see the address is a demo user, and also employee is also having like this demo user. Now if we are going to update this one, so employee name should be like for the update API we are going to set the name as a updated name. So it will be updated from this demo to the updated name, and for the address basically it will be updated with the updated user. Okay, so let's perform this update operations. Okay, so I think it's clear. Now we are perform this update. Okay, data saved successfully. Now like if we see this employee object, so you can see the name is updated, and for address you can see the updated user. Okay, so this is also like it's like updated the data for the address also. Even and you can see over here it is updated this over here and update. That means two sequences actually is performing. First of all, it fetch the data and then it will update the data, because for updating basically we need to here it is fetch the data from the database first and then we are updating over here. Next is to delete. Now if you are going to delete this one with this ID, so it will basically delete from the employee table as well as from the address table. So let me try this delete operations. So for that I need like this duplicate tab, okay, and from the repository, from the controller. So basically it will be a delete post is also work, but should be delete 880, and here basically we are going to perform the delete, and it will take as a param like request param ID. Okay, so here basically we are going to pass this ID. Okay, now if we try to perform this one, okay, ID equals to okay, data deleted successfully. Now if we check the console for this one, it will actually delete from the address table and then it will delete from the employee table. Now if we check the database, it doesn't have any record, right? Because we have deleted the data. If we run this one, then it is deleted data. That means it is perform this two thing, right? Means first of all it will delete from the child table, then it will delete from the parent table. So this is the benefit of this one cascading type. So just to summarize those things, cascading, there is one is the all, which is basically propagate all the operations including the hibernate specific one also from parent to a child entity. Next, there's a persist. So this persist operations make a transient instance persist. Cascading type persist propagate the persist operation from a parent to child entity, where basically we can save the entities, and also it will automatically the child save the child entities. Now if we see the merge cascading type, so merge operations copies the state of the given object into the persistent object with the same identifier, and this propagate operation from parent to child object, basically it will support the update operations. Then basically removed, so it is basically supporting the delete, it will help us to delete those things, remove operation from the parent to child, and delete is basically specific to the hibernate. And detach is there, and lock and refresh is also there. Refresh is basically read the data from the database. So these are the basically things for cascading type. If you guys just try once and try to simulate those things, instead of H2 database, you guys can use any other relational database like MySQL and Oracle and all the other things. So these are the kind of basic things for the using how you are going to use this cascading type. So this is the kind of use that for using the cascading, we need to use this one-to-many annotations. So here basically we need to use the as a one parameter. As you can see over here, it will give us the option for using the cascading type, and it's basically having multiple options to choose like all, detach, merge, persist. That whatever we have discussed over here. So those are the things. All means it will support all the things, and also for enabling the showing the logs, how we are going to show the SQL. So for that we need to use some properties file, like properties over here. These are the properties. So just show the SQL and format the SQL. So that's why we are getting that those are getting displayed over here, like what SQLs basically is used in the backend. So these are the things that basically used. Still, if you guys have anything, please do let me know in the comment section so that I'll try to clear obviously. And I will also put the link for this code into the description section. Please go through it. So that's all regarding this cascading type in Spring Boot data JPA, how we are going to using cascading type. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.